The final blow to the siren's winged form came during the Middle Ages. It was during this period that the Catholic Church took control of literature and art, reinterpreting ancient pagan myths to teach moral and religious lessons to the public. Around the 8th century, an extremely influential Latin text titled Liber Monstrorum, the Book of Monsters, emerged. In this document, we find one of the first explicit descriptions of the modern mermaid. The author described the siren as a sea creature with a woman's body from head to navel, ending in a scaly fishtail. The Lost Myth. The True Origin of Sirens, Part 1. How can a half-fish creature sing if fish don't even have vocal cords? The truth is that history's very first siren didn't live in the sea, but in the air. If you close your eyes right now and picture a mermaid, the image comes automatically. A fascinating woman with long hair, a hypnotic song, and a shimmering fishtail resting on ocean rocks. That is the figure Hollywood sold us, Disney immortalized, and pop culture shaped over the centuries. But there is a massive problem with that image. It is a recent invention. For most of human history, sirens were completely different from what you imagine. If you traveled back in time to ancient Greece and told a sailor about a woman with a fishtail who sings, he would probably laugh in your face. To the Greeks, the idea of a singing aquatic creature made zero biological or poetic sense. After all, the seas are silent. Fish do not produce melodies. The ones who master the art of song in the skies and forests are birds. And that is exactly how the myth was born. In the air, with wings, feathers, and sharp talons. Sirens in Greek mythology. The bird women. In the literature and art of ancient Greece, the so-called sirens were terrifying and fascinating hybrid beings. They had the body of a large, predatory bird with powerful wings, sharp talons, and, in place of a bird's head, the beautiful, expressive face of a woman. In some of the oldest artistic depictions, they could even have a full human bust, but the lower half was strictly avian. They didn't swim among the waves or emerge from the depths of the ocean. The original sirens lived on rocky islands and steep cliffs in the Mediterranean Sea. They perched on the highest points of these reefs, watching the horizon while waiting for ships. Their habitat was the wind, the heights, and dry crags. Choosing a bird form was no accident. In the Greek worldview, birds had a direct connection to the sacred and the invisible. Because they flew close to the sky and traveled great distances, the Greeks believed birds were messengers between the world of the living and the world of the dead, Hades. A voice coming from the heavens carried divine authority and unfathomable mystery. Joining a female voice to the body of a bird transformed the siren into the personification of inevitable fate. The power and danger of the winged song. Unlike modern legends where a mermaid lures men solely through physical beauty or superficial charm, the original bird siren song was a weapon of absolute knowledge. They didn't sing romantic songs or simple melodies. The sirens offered sailors the promise of revealing every secret in the universe. In Homer's famous work, The Odyssey, written around the 8th century BC, we find the most striking account of this encounter. When the hero Odysseus, or Ulysses, needs to pass by the Sirens' Island, he is warned by the sorceress Circe about the deadly danger awaiting him. Circe makes it crystal clear. The sound coming from those creatures is not mere entertainment. It is vocal sorcery that paralyzes human willpower. The sirens promised anyone who listened the knowledge of everything that had ever happened and everything yet to occur on earth. They knew the deepest desires, pains, and fears of every man sailing nearby. It was an irresistible intellectual temptation. A sailor hearing the song didn't just fall in love with a woman's image. He was seduced by the promise of becoming as wise as the gods themselves. And that seduction exacted the highest possible price, life itself. The Lost Myth, The True Origin of Sirens, Part 2. The transformation from airwaves to sea waves. If the original version was a winged creature, how did the world forget its wings and put a fishtail in their place? The answer lies in the evolution of seafaring, the cultural clash of different mythologies, and religious reinterpretation over time. As Greek civilization expanded and maritime exploration intensified, the ocean ceased to be just a transit route and became humanity's great unknown mystery. Associating sirens with the sea was inevitable since they lived on islands and attacked ships. Gradually, popular imagination began pulling these creatures down from cliff tops and into the water. Furthermore, Western mythology started blending with other aquatic legends. Other cultures already had their own mythological figures linked to rivers and seas, such as the Greek Nereids, sea nymphs, and the water spirits of Nordic and Germanic folklore, known as undines and nixies. Those creatures were indeed depicted with fish-like or amphibious forms. Over centuries, popular culture fused all these stories, creating a single hybrid entity that inherited the bird woman's hypnotic voice and the sea monster's aquatic anatomy. The medieval bestiary and the church's condemnation. The final blow to the siren's winged form came during the Middle Ages. It was during this period that the Catholic Church took control of literature and art, reinterpreting ancient pagan myths to teach moral and religious lessons to the public. Around the 8th century, an extremely influential Latin text titled Liber Monstrorum, the Book of Monsters, emerged. In this document, we find one of the first explicit descriptions of the modern mermaid. The author described the siren as a sea creature with a woman's body from head to navel, ending in a scaly fishtail. For medieval theologians, the fish mermaid became the perfect symbol of sin and fleshly temptation. The sea represented the earthly, unstable world, while the fishtail symbolized a brutal, soulless nature incapable of redemption. The song, which in ancient Greece promised wisdom, came to be seen as the devil's voice, luring men toward moral drowning and perdition. The wings and feathers that once connected the myth to the heavens and the gods were completely erased, replaced by the mirror and comb, symbols of superficial vanity. The visual impact the world forgot. When we look at artwork from antiquity, such as Greek vases painted over 2,500 years ago or Roman mosaics, the shock is undeniable. Instead of a romantic figure sitting on a rock, we see warriors tied to a ship's mast, while giant flying monsters with expressive human faces and sharp talons dive-bomb the crew. This revelation showcases time's transformative power over culture. The siren myth was not born in the deep ocean, but from the fascination and fear the sky has always sparked in human beings. The song that enchanted sailors didn't come from the depths of the water. It echoed down from the heights above. The next time you see a mermaid with a fishtail on TV, in movies, or in an illustration, remember, you are only looking at half the story. History's true, original siren once had wings, ruled the winds, and reigned in the skies long before she ever learned how to swim.